What's going on, guys? So before we get into today's episode, I want to give props to a program that is responsible for helping over 6,000 students level up their careers. That is Level Careers. Level Careers offers 3 course options that are all self-paced and affordable. They have a tech sales closure course, which is what you want to hop into if you want to go the account executive role. I myself have taken that course. I've graduated from that course, and I still refer to it today to help me in my account executive role. They also have a cybersecurity course that is jam-packed with hands-on labs, giving you everything you need to hop into a SOC analyst role or information security role. I am currently taking that class right now. I am 50% through the course. I tell you, it is highly recommended. They also have a sales engineering course. For those of you that want to go out there and you want to put your foot in the door as a sales engineer, they have a course for you. All these courses are affordable, and I'm going to help you make it even more affordable by sharing with you my code to give you 10% off of any course you choose. Use TechJob10 for any course that you choose. I'll put a link to the program in the description and in the comments. Go get your tech job. Peace. What's going on, guys? It's your girl, Tech Job Tina, signing in for another episode. On today's episode, we're going to dig into some content I found on these internets. The very first piece we're going to get into is a topic that I definitely do want to talk about, and that is age discrimination. Breaking into tech, I hear a lot of people, mainly people that are over 40, always being concerned that their age is going to hold them back and keep them from breaking into tech. As someone that is over 40, I can assure you that as long as you are not making it a thing, most times nobody else is going to make it a thing either. But there are things that I recommend you do to safeguard yourself against conscious or unconscious bias, right? And what I mean by that is some of the things I did was, for example, I did not include any dates on my college graduation, right? It is definitely a way that people can try to figure out how old you are by when you graduated from college, right? Even working dates, like when you're doing your resume, there really is no need for you to include anything more than 10 years worth of employment experience, right? And that's what I did. So if you're someone that has 25 years of employment history, I would not even put 25 years on my resume. Nothing clues people into how old you are more than having a 25-year work history, right? Just using that as an example. So there are certain things you can do to leave people in the dark about your age. If that is something that you're concerned about, definitely do that. Personal experience of mine, I applied for a company, and this is before I landed the role at the company that I'm at right now. I applied to a company, it's a very well-known company, and I actually had an in-house referral from someone that I connected with and established really good rapport with. He basically walked my resume over. And I remember after I had given him my resume and he walked it over, he came back to me. He was a younger guy. I know he didn't know. He was just asking a question that someone else told him to ask me, right? So one of the things he says, hey, can you put the dates of your graduation from college on your resume, right? And mind you, I purposely left it off because I did not want to be susceptible to any age bias, right? In fact, do you know it is actually against the law to discriminate against someone on the basis of age if they are over 40 years old, right? So I purposely just left the dates off. It's like, why? I graduated from college. The dates don't really matter, right? Why would someone be, adamant about getting that information? What are you trying to determine, right? So it was kind of a red flag for me that they even wanted that information, right? Of course, I didn't provide it. I said, well, it's not really required that I provide it, so therefore I left it off, right? Now, I did not get an interview at that particular company. Could it be because of that? Who knows, but I thought it was interesting that they actually asked for that information, right? You definitely are not required to put your graduation dates on your resume. So don't let anybody make you feel like you are supposed to, right? So I want to get into this content because it is centered around age. You may have seen content from this gentleman. He's a 55-year-old man that was laid off from his job, and he's documenting his journey, his trials and his tribulations, and the crap that he's going through trying to get hired again. And he is experiencing what seems to be like age discrimination. in some cases. At least that's the picture that he's painting, right? So we're gonna well, I'm going to share my screen with you and we're going to dig into this video. And this is one of his more recent ones that he released. I haven't really watched it yet, so I'll be reacting to it for the first time with you guys. So I'm going to share my screen with you and let's go.
So I go to job fairs, as many of you know, and I went to a job fair that had 40 different booths, 40 different employers. So Honda was there. The Department of Aging was there. Some schools were there. Some colleges were there. DHL was there. Let's see. Pepsi was there. You know, the job fair had manufacturing jobs as well as administrative jobs, and so it was just big and had a lot of variety to it. So it was a great job fair. But anyway, when I got to the job fair, I had all my resumes ready and I started to go from table to table talking to people and passing out my resumes and telling them my story. You know, I've been laid off for a long time. I want to do a change of career. You know, can you help me out? Some of them were more responsive than others, but it was kind of blah, you know. So I wasn't getting quite the response that I wanted. But there were some people there that were interested. But anyway, I finally get to the pest control table. And so I start out telling them my story, and you know, they perk up because I'm an older person, and apparently they're a family-owned business and they really care about people, you know. So they perk up, they listen to my story, and the guy who's at the booth sort of jumps up behind the booth and takes me aside and tells me all about pest control. Now, pest control is something I never even thought of doing, you know? So this is really unusual. But anyway, this guy was very charismatic and he knew how to talk. He was a chatterbox. And anyway, he started telling me all about pest control and about the company. And I started to get excited. I was like, okay, well, pest control could be an option for me. You know, I need a change of career. I'm doing a change of career. So why not? You know, it's interesting. And by the way, I'm a person that likes bugs. I like snakes. I like raccoons. I like wildlife, period. So I'm a nerd that way. So this is kind of in my alley. So anyway, I thought, okay, this sounds pretty cool. So I went home and I started to research the company. And I found out that it was a family owned business and that it had been around for a while and that it had a really good reputation. And I looked up the employee ratings and the employees seemed to love the company. And I thought, wow, this seems to be a really good company, you know? So I looked at their careers and I applied for a couple jobs online. And I thought, okay, we'll see what happens. So anyway, about 2 weeks later, I get a call from the hiring manager, or one of the hiring managers, not the main one. But anyway, she, you know, gives me a mini interview, a screening, so to speak. And I tell her I was interested in the position was because I had went to the career fair and I had talked to some guy there for a long time and then we really hit it off and he thought that this was something that I could do. And when I told her all that, she started to perk up. She was like, who was it? Blah, 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 blah. And anyway, I get a second interview. So about a week later, I go on a second interview for this position. And I'm really excited because what I found out was this job is only like a half a mile from where I live. I was starting to really get stoked about this interview. So anyway, I go on the interview, and the person who was interviewing me is the same guy at the job fair. So now I'm really excited. I think, okay, well, he seemed to like me last time, and he liked my.
Okay, so he's building the story up, right? So far it sounds like he's on the right track. He's got through the first interview, he's getting through the second interview, and then he's seeing, oh, I'm about to interview with the guy I spoke to at the job fair. Oh, this was up, because I knew he and we had a good rapport going on, and he was feeling like, yo, I got this job, right?
My story. And he also knew what I looked like. He knew my age. He knew my weight, all that jazz. So, and he remembered me. So I thought that's great. I'm really feeling good about this. So I started to talk to him about my life and all that stuff again, and he remembered a lot of it. But then he started to talk, and talk he did for a long, long time. This guy's a chatterbox, and he kept going on and on about how they're a family-owned company and they really care about people, and that he just hired his stepdad, who's probably around my age, and he said that if they really liked me and I didn't really like pest control that much, they would find an administrative job for me. And he just seemed to really like me, and he seemed to take me under his wing. The interview was going very well. The only thing that was unusual about the interview was he seemed to do more talking than I did. And the only thing that was made me wonder a little bit about getting the position is during, like, close to the beginning of the interview, I asked about how long does it take, when do employees usually find out if they're going to be hired or not, and he kind of looked me over and he said, well, you'll know probably Wednesday of next week. And I thought, okay, why is he looking me over? Because he already knew what I looked like. So that was the only thing that made me wonder. But then after I asked that question, he went on, and he seemed to take me under his wing. I felt that I had the job. And not only that, after he was done interviewing me, he sent me to his superior to check me out. And so his boss started asking me questions, and then we started talking about movies, and it seemed like everything was just perfect. I was 100% sure I had this job. I sent out 2 thank you emails to each one of them, each of the people that interviewed me, him and his boss, telling them, thank you for the interview. If you need to know more, blah, 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 blah. And not only did I think I had the job, but I also thought, I really want this job. Why? For one thing, they're really close to where I live, and the people seem so nice. And having worked in corporate and being just a number for all those years, I thought, I'm not going to be a number at this place. These people are going to really care about me. And so that was really appealing. So I was really, really stoked. I really wanted this job. The next day, I was scrolling through my email, I was searching for something, and I happened to find an email from them. And the email said, basically, we're not hiring you. We're moving on to the next steps in the process, and you're not chosen. And I thought, this has to be a mistake. This can't be real. I mean, because the way he acted and everything, I had the job. And
hey, it's a prime example of why they say don't count your chickens before they hatch, right? You'll go into an interview and that thing will be going so well, and you'll just know you got it in the bag, only to find out that you don't have it in the bag, right? They'll send you one of those emails or rejection emails. Oh, we went with somebody else, whatever the case is. So it sounds like this is what has happened to the fading man.
In my head, it was already a done deal. And so I was really upset. But then I talked to one of my friends, and they said, well, that was just probably an automatic response from the website. You probably, you seem so sure that you got the job. You probably did get the job. It was just probably some mistake. So I thought, oh, you're right. It's probably just some mistake, you know. But it was a mistake. I emailed them on Monday, and I asked them. I told them, I said, look, the response I got's weird. It didn't come directly from you. Am I still being considered for this position? 5 minutes later, I get an email back from them saying, no, you're not being still considered for this position. The response was correct. However, please apply again. We liked you. I was like, I was completely stunned. Like I couldn't believe it. And also I feel like a fool for going down this tangent. Like I pest control is not something I even aspired to be, and to go from 0 to 100 and then back down to 0 over something like this. I felt duped. Like I almost felt like I was lied to, because the way that they were acting. I don't know if they were trying to portray that they were just good people. If my interview was just for sympathy or something. But it felt just like a complete waste of time. And now that I think about it, I just think that he knew he wasn't going to hire me right off the bat. That he was just, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm older, and he just wanted to show respect or something like that. But I was completely angry because, I had already kind of planned out my career in that short space of time. And I wish that I would have never even went to that table.
Yeah, so that's his story, man. And I hear a lot of these stories, all the time. People are experiencing a lot of craziness out here in the market trying to interview for jobs. So that's the Fading Man. You can go to his YouTube channel and follow all of his other content. But yeah, then let me know. Let me know what you guys are experiencing out there. What has been your weirdest interview experience? What has been an interview experience that you had where you felt like your time was totally wasted? Because I know some of these interviews, they out of hand, like 5 rounds of interviews. I know some people have done like 3 rounds of back-to-back interviews on one day. You turn around, you just spent 3 hours on one day just doing interviews at one company, right? Only to turn around and find out that they chose somebody else. It's like this crazy amount of massive time loss, right? Me personally, anything more than 3 interviews is ridiculous, right? If you've got only 2 interviews, even better. You're actually even more desirable of a company. You doing 2 interviews, okay, great. You know what you want. You figured it out just like that. But when you got an interview with the recruiter, then you got an interview with whoever your direct manager is going to be. Then you got an interview with the VP of sales. Now I got to go over here and interview with the CEO. And now I got to go interview with the CEO's assistant. And then I got to go interview with the CEO's brother. And it's like, it's Jesus Christ, people. That's a bit much, especially when you got a lot of people that are doing a lot of applying for jobs, and a lot of people are, trying to juggle a lot of interviews because they're trying to get hired. And it's like, you can mess around and spend like 15, 20 plus hours a week just sitting in interviews. So I definitely feel his pain. I feel the pain of a lot of you guys out there, and we definitely got some work to do as far as these interview processes. This is ridiculous, right? So yeah, put your comments down below. I'm interested to hear, what you guys are seeing out there and what you're going through, and what do you think about the Faded Man? Comment on, his content, what you think about him as well, right? I know it's got to be tough for him. He's a 55-year-old guy out here trying to start over from scratch. Who wants to be doing that? Nobody, right? So I definitely can understand that. So all right, so to piggyback off the Fading Man situation where he's out here applying for jobs, I want to talk about, what I've kind of seen, especially since I do pay a lot of attention to LinkedIn. I'm constantly paying attention to people that are telling their stories about being out of work, as far as how long they've been out of work, how many applications they put in, sharing what their interview experiences have been like. And whenever I see people make a post about, hey, I've been out of work for 12 months and I've applied for 150 jobs, right? Or I've been out of work for 6 months and I've applied for 100 jobs, right? You got to understand the market that we in, people. If you are mass applying, you got to really put in massive action. You're probably going to have to apply for several hundred jobs a month. So applying for 200 jobs over the span of 12 months is not getting it. And that's why you ain't got no job. So people are really underestimating where we are at right now, right? If you are mass applying, 200 jobs in 1 year, that ain't enough. You need to step your game up, right? So I wanted to show this content right here where he actually touches on that. And I will include the link to the Faded Man's video if you want to go watch some more of his content. And I'll also include a link to the one I'm about to show you. It was actually a great interview with Simone, Beez, who does the GovTech or whatever. She is someone that I follow. She has really dope content, a lot of great guests that come on there. And so she interviewed the guy from Symposia, right? And so he actually touched on, what it's going to take to land a role. So I want to play that short snippet and you can go back and watch the rest of the interview on your own time. So let's go. So if somebody wanted to get like a GRC role today, you did an 8-week boot camp. Like, what type of skills do you think they need to focus on?
Yeah, like I said, like it's a lot of just, you typically already have the skills.
Gotcha.
Like I'm sure at your job, you're doing some sort of documentation. I know at Apple, for example, people were coming in.
And just to give you some context, he broke into the GRC analyst realm, which GRC, that is a cybersecurity role, is governance, risk, and compliance, where you're writing policy, conducting risk assessments. It's a non-technical cybersecurity role. So that's what he's talking about right now. Let's go.
There's a lot of triaging, identifying things that were going on. And then for me, obviously, I had the opportunity to work for my mom, and like we were writing policies. Maybe you're in customer service and you have like you're interfacing with different stakeholders, whatever it is. You might not know the language,
right?
But like typically, a lot of the skills that people have at lower leverage jobs can translate. You just need to find an atmosphere that will allow you to skill stack on top of the things that you've already been doing, so that you can shift. But it's not that complicated. Like people who make things complicated, honestly, it's just a reflection of their inaction. It really has nothing to do with it being complicated or it being too much. Typically, anyone who's hungry enough, like you already have the skills. You just need someone else who has already conquered that space. You can access their mentorship, either pay them, or if you don't have money, you can use things like Honor to sort of get yourself in the door. Or yeah, and I think that you can learn the skills in a short amount of time and then just go get a job. But for me, it's like there's a volume and there's a degree of discipline that people are just gonna have to have. It's like, the marketplace is really bloody.
Right.
If you're not gonna put in 500 to 1,000 applications a month, just stay at your job now, because like you're just not going to compete,
right?
And so you either find a way to pay someone else who would do it for $1 to $2 an hour to put in applications for you. But like if you're not optimizing for volume in the space as far as applications, just take a seat.
All right, so let me stop that right there. All right, so you heard what he said. He said this is a volume game. He said if you're not optimizing for results as far as putting in those 500 to 1,000 applications, he said a month. He said you might as well stay at your job. He said because it is bloody out here and you're going to have to get it, right? So I kind of thought that was interesting what he said. That, like I said, the whole interview is really, really good. And he's absolutely right. And that applies to any role. I don't care what you're going out here to get. If you trying to break into a tech role, you're going to have to go hard. Why? Because these are high paying jobs, right? A lot of people going after these roles, right? You're going to have to do what you got to do to stand against the rest. So that means you're going to have to do what most people are not doing, right? So you do what most people won't so you can get what most people don't, right? So I definitely love what he was saying. He was like, look, you ain't applying to 500 to 1,000 jobs a month. Just stay at your job, keep doing what you're doing. You're not gonna get it, right? So I definitely thought that was some good advice. He is definitely like dead on with that. So I'll post a link to that video below, and you can go back and check it out in its entirety. And if you are not subscribed to Beez's channel, definitely do that. She's always dropping so much good information. I learned so much from the people that she brings onto her show. It's stuff that I'm doing now that I actually learned from just watching the free content that she provides, right? All right, so the last little bit of content we're going to get into before I get up out of here is another gentleman that I am subscribed to on YouTube. I'll put you onto his channel if you are not already watching him. He actually does have a lot of good content. The title of his YouTube channel is called Life After Layoff. So I'm going to get into that real quick. Let me share my screen with you. So it's Life After Layoff. Definitely follow the channel. Let me get my technology together and share the screen. All right, so right here, Life After Layoff. He recently released this video called 10 Signs You're Interviewing for a Great Company. So we always hear the signs that you're interviewing for a bad one, but nobody really talks about the signs that you're interviewing for a good one, right? So I thought this was interesting. Wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm going to play it, and then I'll give a little bit of commentary at the end. Let's go.
First sign that you're interviewing for a great company is that they value your time. And we call this candidate experience in the interviewing process. The candidate experience is what the candidate experiences throughout the entirety of the process, from application all the way to offer. Are they investing in talent acquisition? Are they making the website easy to navigate? Are they putting a lot of information out there so that you can get a clear understanding of their corporate culture, of the benefits that they offer? Is the applicant tracking system that you're using a current and modern one? And is the application itself seamless? Do they make you create an account in order to apply? Do you have to answer behavior-based interview questions that should be safe for the actual interview? Or do they make you fill out some sort of long assessment that doesn't value your time? And when you applied, did they give you timely feedback on the status of your application? All these things are an indicator of a good candidate experience, because what it shows is that the employer values your time as the candidate. And good companies really do focus on that type of thing. Now, it's easy to beat up on companies who don't do it, but we should recognize the companies that do. The next thing I'd be looking for is the interview process itself convoluted, or is it something that's more streamlined? Great companies can get through an interview process in a week or even less. But companies that struggle in interviewing tend to draw them out for very long periods of time. I've seen some people have 6-month interview processes with a company only to find out that they didn't get the job, or even worse, they get ghosted. So does that company value your time, try to condense things, make quick and decisive hiring decisions? And more importantly, when you're in the interview process, are they keeping you informed of the next steps, not leaving you in the lurch, and of course, not ghosting you? And during the application and early interview process, were they clear and concise about what it is that they were offering as far as salary, benefits, and all that stuff? In other words, there's no guesswork there. They're not being shady. They're being realistic, and everything seems to be on the up and up. And when you are having these salary discussions, it's very mutual. It doesn't seem adversarial. The recruiter isn't playing it so close to the vest that it's like they're hiding something. In and of itself, I will say that I'm not overly concerned with companies sharing salary ranges, because I have techniques that I follow anyway to discover what their salary is and where I should be, so I don't leave any money on the table. But it is nice to have them disclose it early in the process so that there's no guesswork. And let's face it, when a company acts shady about the salary and other things that they may be offering, is this an indicator of what it'll be like to work there? Will everything else be shady too? So when the company has open and honest discussions out of the gate, there's no shadiness, then it fosters a sense of honesty and trust. Next up is the interactions with your boss. If you find that your boss is being very engaged in what you're saying, they're leaning in and asking you probing questions that seems like they're not just reading off of a scripted interview sheet, then that's a really good sign that you're talking to a green flag employer, because it seems likely that they're very interested in what knowledge, skills, abilities, and experiences you can bring to the table. And who knows, maybe they're trying to learn something from you. And while you're at it, it'd be worth paying close attention to how the people in the department that you're interviewing for and the broader company interact and engage with one another. Do they seem to be having fun? Do they seem to have a lighthearted banter? Does it seem like it's a relaxed place to work? Because that's going to be a big indicator of whether or not the corporate culture is overly rigid and stuffy, or one that's more relaxed and enjoyable. And while you're at it, you may want to ask some of the people who are working in that department what they like about working for that company. Ask how long they've been there. If you see people that have a lot of tenure and have been promoted from within, that's a great sign that you're talking to a green flag employer. And I also think another component of a really great opportunity is finding a company whose products and services are cutting edge, are growing. There's a genuine excitement in the industry. There's kind of a buzz going about the company, because when the company has a great product or an exciting new product launch that they're all anticipating, it makes it that much easier to jump right into the team and be engaged day one. And not to mention, when you have a company that has a great product and there's a lot of excitement in the market about them, and hopefully they're profitable, the likelihood of you being laid off is reduced. And that's probably the next big indicator that I would look at, is what their track record for laying people off, and especially in the past 4 or 5 years, would be. I want to make sure that the company has a true need for the job that I'm interviewing for, and they have a strong track record of success where they've not laid off people in the past. Because just like they're assessing us, we should be doing the same thing with them. And their past performance is their best indicator of what their future performance is likely to be. And I mentioned this a little bit ago, but I'd also be looking for a strong track record of people who not only haven't been laid off, but are progressing through the company through a series of internal promotions. Now, it's always the kiss of death when you're interviewing for a job and you find out that you're going up against an internal candidate, because the chances are they're probably going to get the job. But that's a good sign if you're somebody that's interviewing for a role. If they promote from within and you notice that there is a culture of them internally recognizing their people, then that's a great sign that it's a green flag employer. So I personally would be asking every single person that I encounter, how long have you been at the company? And see if they've ever been promoted, because that's going to be a great litmus test of the kind of corporate culture that you want to be in. And when you do get to the point of offer, check out what the benefits package is. Is it people focused? In other words, are the benefits offered truly valuable and unique? If they offer the same benefits package that every single other company offers, it's never been enriched. In fact, I might even ask that, how's the benefits package been improved year over? That's an indicator that they're not investing in their people. And as much as they might put on their website, corporate headquarters on the wall saying that they put people first, those are the indicators that they do indeed put people first. So if the company that you're interviewing for offers a very people-oriented benefits program, they offer top-notch medical, dental, and vision. They also have a great paid time off program. They give you lots of vacation time, lots of paid holidays. They maybe have a lot of wellness and other interesting benefits that are very people-focused. Then that's a great indicator that it's a green flag employer. And then finally, when we get to the point of offer, the offer is easy. There's no shadiness there. There's no lowballing. What you discussed early in the interview is consistent with what they present to you. There doesn't need to be a whole lot of negotiating. Of course, we will always negotiate our offers, but a good quality employer doesn't get shady, doesn't get cute with you at the last minute and then offer you something that's considerably less than what you discussed in the very beginning. In other words, they're being very upfront, they're consistent, and they have integrity. And when you do negotiate, they're very fair about it. They enrich the offer. They're not making you feel bad about it, that they're going to pull the offer from you, some high pressure sales tactics to get you to sign the dotted line. In other words, they have integrity. And that's what we're looking for in corporate culture. It's everything that they do backing up what they say they're going to do. So when you're interviewing for your next company, go through this list and see how many green flags are they giving you. Of course, this isn't an all-encompassing list. There's other green flags that you can look for as well. And if a company doesn't do some of these things, but they do others, it doesn't automatically mean that they're a red flag employer. So use your judgment, but we're looking for the entirety of what their corporate culture is like. And more importantly, that candidate experience. But if you're somebody that finds yourself struggling to get to the job offer, that's actually something that I specialize in. I have a website.
All right, so let me stop that right there. So I think that was a pretty solid list. Like you said, it's not all encompassing. You may have other green flags as well, but it definitely gives you a solid list that you can kind of go by, right? Down to the benefits that are, you know, really favorable for the employees. I've seen some, you know, companies have things in place that was more favorable for the company and less favorable for the employees. So whenever you see something like, you know, opposite of that is always a huge plus, right? So yeah, so definitely subscribe to Life After Layoff. He always drops a lot of very helpful content. So I definitely wanted to share that with you. But I'm going to end this video right here, man. So definitely comment below what you thought about anything we went over today. I'm definitely interested to hear your thoughts. Other than that, Tech Job Tina is about to bounce up out of here. You guys have a good one. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace and blessings. Bye.